Today's going to be fun. No guests, no expert, just a conversation and a very unique exploration. I've been chatting with a lot of friends, a lot of close personal relationships, and over the past few weeks, I've had some incredible conversations with members of our community, with clients, with friends, and honestly, sitting with myself, whether that's been prayer or meditation. There's certain questions that they're reiterating. They keep showing up. And I think that's important. That's something I wanted to share with you guys today. Like when there's this one energy or there's this one feeling that keeps coming back, notice that. Maybe that whisper is going to become a shout. Maybe we should pay attention to that a little bit more. And for me, it's been questions about health, questions about relationships, questions about purpose, questions about building a life that actually feels as good as it looks. How often do we as consumers look on Instagram and be like, dang, that person's life looks dope? But then you pause and you wonder and you're like, does it really feel that dope, or do you just make it look that dope? It's a fair question. And honestly, like the more I think about it, the more I realize that some of the biggest shifts in my personal life didn't come from finding these answers, didn't come from being like, I have it all figured out. They came from asking better questions. They came from me being more curious. So today I wanted to share some questions that have been sitting with me lately, questions that have helped me make decisions and really like put my hands to the fire and be like, hey dude, you gotta make this decision. You gotta be convicted in this space. Questions that have really changed the way that I think about health and happiness and success, and what it means to live a life well lived. And so when I think about ALLSMITH, I think about lifestyle design. You have to ask the hard questions. Am I living the life that I truly desire? It's a hard question. Sometimes we're living the life that allows us to make more money. Sometimes we're living the life that allows us to answer the questions from our past. Sometimes we're living the life that allows us to meet the partner or to feel the external validation, because modern day, guys, there's so much input. There's so much, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do that. Everybody has an opinion on how your life should be. And there's something beautiful around pressing airplane mode, putting up the sexy middle finger to everybody around you, saying, you know what, I have this blank canvas. I want to paint it the way I want to fucking paint it. I want to create the rest of my life to become the best of my life. And that's hard. There's a lot of inputs that become outputs. There's a lot of our past. There's a lot of our future. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of monetization. There's a lot of infiltrations that come into the decision making associated with making the rest of our life the best of our life. So it's not easy. But that's why we're here. That's why you're tuning in to the ALLSMITH podcast. I want to go through this journey with you. So something has come up recently. And somebody texted me this literally 3 days ago. And they said, hey Bryce, are you exhausted because life is hard? Or because you're carrying things that no longer belong to you? I was like, whoa. How lucky am I to have people in my life that are willing to ask those types of hard questions? And so what popped up was old identities, some of the characteristics of people pleasing, expectations from society, the pressure to be liked, and carrying everyone else's problems. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So I scheduled an appointment with my coach, and we'd kind of talk through some of these things. And he was like, Bryce, all of these things are external. And he goes, a lot of people aren't tired from work. They're tired from pretending. They're tired from carrying a version of themselves that they've already outgrown. And he goes, Bryce, where does that fit with you? And I got to thinking, and I was like, there's a huge difference between being nice and being good. A nice guy wants to soften the peaks and the valleys. A nice guy wants to meet you where you're at and remove all the tension. A nice guy avoids conflict. A nice guy avoids the truth. A nice guy wants motherfucking approval. And I think what's really interesting is that, and I noticed this with my father before he passed, a good man accepts responsibility. There's a big difference there. There's tension, there's friction. That's the nice guy. And then there's conviction and challenge and frustration and maybe a contrarian point of view of like, hey, I've noticed you've done things this way, but what do you think about this perspective? A good man doesn't necessarily tell you what to do. They're not egotistical in their fashion, but they are suggestive in their approach. And so that's a fair conversation, right? A good man accepts responsibility. I accept responsibility to hold what you're sharing with me, to turn up the volume a little bit on what you're sharing, and to try to push you towards the direction of what you desire to be your peak expression. Guys, that's hard. It's really easy to be the person that you see once a month or a couple times a month, be like, hey, let's go grab dinner. And they're like a yes man. It's like lighthearted. It's easy. They kind of hold space, but they're kind of like bouncing around. They're kind of like not really in it. They're just like, oh, cool. Thanks, so-and-so, for sharing. Like, I'm not really going to give you any advice, but I'm just going to kind of be like a yes man. And like, we'll have a drink. You'll have a drink. We'll have this awesome meal. We won't really move the needle in the right direction, and it'll just kind of like be. And you leave that dinner like, dang, that person really held space. They understand me. Yes. Sure, there's a time and a place for that. But to me, like, that's not badass. That's like soft. To me, that's like the easy answer to be like, yes, holding space is an important skill. Sure. But notice the way I said that, an important skill. It's not everything. Can you connect with people that are willing to tell you the truth? Hey, I hear you on this. Let me take this intake form and let me listen to you. Let's have some good food. Let's connect from a vulnerability standpoint. You share, I share. Let's have an intimate conversation that goes a little bit deeper, a little bit further down the funnel. Let's have a couple drinks. And then it's like, okay, like let's get into the soil a little bit. Let's plant something that actually has roots that when the storm comes, this is not going to blow over. That matters because it lasts a long time. So my hope is that you guys recognize the difference and you understand that resentment is often the receipt for an agreement we never should have made. And my hope is that you don't carry resentment towards these relationships because you didn't make an agreement to try to like play surface level. You went deeper. You established the roots. We all know the story of the bamboo plant. You plant the seed. It takes 5 years. Nothing comes of it. You curate that plant. You foster the soil, you position it in front of the sun, and then all of a sudden in year 5 or 6, that mother grows 5 or 6 feet, potentially 8, if you really take care of it. It's like, relationships are a lot that way. Like, you can't just like throw some shit at the wall and expect it to grow. You got to take time, you got to take energy, you got to take emotion, especially in this AI culture. It's difficult to curate trust. Vulnerability breeds vulnerability. So to put it out there and be more curious than judgmental. Don't just open relationships thinking, what can I get? Open relationships in the form of, how can I share what's going on in my life? And then how do I segue that into what's going on with their life where we can help each other out? Because what I've observed, the cream of the crop is not competing. They're collaborating. So can we figure out how to collaborate based on the challenges that we're experiencing in our life and build and foster meaningful relationships in the pursuit of trying to help other people? That's not a social hierarchy. That's not an egotistical, I'm here and you're here. That's, oh, I'm vulnerably in the pursuit. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to do the next right thing, but I'd love some assistance or some support in the process. The other thing that I want to think about, when you think about all these questions that we've kind of been faced, some of these questions today are from our community. Some of the questions are things I've thought about. Some of them are from our incredible team. And somebody asked me the other day, and they're like, dude, if nobody could see your life, would you still be proud of how you're living it? And I was like, yes. Like, there's a difference between character and reputation. There's a difference between integrity and what you do when nobody's watching. There's a difference between social media culture and what the internet world sees versus what you actually do. And there's a difference between, hey, I do the next right thing versus I need validation to film everything that I do so that the world sees it. And because the eye curates the mind, now because they saw it, I can get this thumbs up level of approval. It's like, I don't pick up my dog shit because I want the world to be like, great job, Bryce. I pick up the dog shit because I want my dogs to have a great yard. I don't want it to smell for my family and my friends and my next door neighbors. I want to be able to have a backyard that we can play fetch and we can have experiences in. I don't do it because I need a thumbs up approval from the internet world. And it's fascinating because so many people are now curating a life experience based on, how many likes did you get? How much validation did you get? How many views? What are the impressions? And there's this measurable that the world is trying to curate your validation. It's like, when I take a shit, I get to choose if I wiped really well versus I didn't wipe very well. And it's funny, and it's like weird, and it's kind of inappropriate, but it's also like, you don't get to judge that. I choose what is appropriate in that experience. Our minds are getting skewed right now, guys. Like, we're basing our performative culture on other people's perception of attention. To me, that's bullshit. It's stupid. Like, if Instagram disappeared tomorrow, what would still matter to you? Like, would you still make your bed? Would you still brush your teeth? You're not showing a video of every single element of you brushing your teeth. You're not showing yourself picking up your dog. You're not showing yourself cleaning the bathroom. Would your world matter if Instagram disappeared, if TikTok disappeared? At some point, you have to look yourself in the mirror and be honest and think, am I doing the next right thing for myself, for my family, for the man or the woman that I want to become, for the observation of what I want my children to view, for the world to become a better place? But if you go back to the original question, so many people are doing things for the outcome. Well, why the fuck should I do that if I'm not going to get paid? That's backwards to me, man. If you're only doing it for the goddamn outcome, you need to look yourself in the mirror. You need to decide, who are you as a human? Because you're not paid for every little thing. You need to get your 10,000 steps in a day. You need to get your hydration in the morning before coffee. If you decide to have coffee, cool. Make sure it's high quality. Maybe make sure it's not adding anxiety to your life, but it's adding value to your life. Make sure you're using all of these tools in your morning routine to make the rest of your life the best of your life. But if you're just doing it for the clicks, the likes, and whatever social media gratification, it's backwards. And I think it's interesting because what motivates most human beings is the outcome. If there's incentive, you can backtrack and look at behavior. Now we're looking at behavior, and so many people are looking at attention. Why should I do the right thing if the right thing's not going to get me attention? And they get attention like, well, I did that thing and it got me paid. Is that really right? Is that short-term gratification versus long-term gratification? Is that really moving the needle, or is it you gamifying your social experience to try to live in the moment and monetize? Is it extreme professional adaptability, which it could be, or is it you being manipulated by the system?